For this next one, it says, sketch the region enclosed by the given curves, decide whether to integrate with respect to x or y, then find the area of the region. All right, let's try to sketch these curves. This first one, I could rewrite, I could get the y on one side and x the other, and I could say this is y is the same as negative x. So that one's not too hard to sketch. That'd be something like this line right there, that straight line. The other one, if I wanted to, I could get this in terms of, I could get the x by itself. This would be x equals 42 minus y squared. Now, negative y squared would be this sideways parabola that opens to the left. X equals negative y squared would be that one. But this one's moved way over here to 42. So this parabola would look something like this. And we can see that if I were to integrate top to bottom, this function minus this function, the bottom function would change. To the left of this little point of intersection, it would be over here. To the right, it would be over here. So it's probably not a good idea to integrate with respect to x, the top function minus the bottom function. It's probably a much better idea to integrate with respect to y, the right function minus the left function. So we need to figure out two things. What is this right function and what is this left function? And then we need to integrate with respect to y. We need to figure out these limits of integration from here to here. So I need to figure out as y goes from whatever this place is to whatever this place is, I need to set up that integral. Okay, this first one is already given to us in terms of y, or we already figured out in terms of y. This is x equals 42 minus y squared. This second one, it's not too hard to get this in terms of y. We'd say x equals negative y. So that's this left function, x equals negative y. So I know that the integral is going to look something like this. The area is going to be the integral from somewhere to somewhere of the right function, 42 minus y squared, minus the left function, negative y. And I'm going to integrate this whole thing with respect to y. Okay, the thing that I don't yet have in this problem, though, are those limits of integration, so I better figure out what that is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these two functions equal to each other. So 42 minus y squared equals negative y, and try to solve. So I'll get everything over to the right side of the equation. So 0 equals positive y squared minus y minus 42, and we can say that's 0, and looks like we can factor that. Something that multiplies to give us 42 and differs by only 1, so it would be y times y is y squared. 6 times 7 is 42. So there we go. And one of them has to be positive, one of them has to be negative. Well, it's a negative y, so I'll make the bigger one negative and the other one positive, and that factors just fine. So this looks like it's going from y equals negative 6, so this one must be a negative 6 here, to y equals 7. So this must be a 7 up here. Okay, sketching this and the setup is really the most challenging part. After that, it's stuff that you're pretty much familiar with. So sketching the curves is an important thing. Finding those limits of integration is another important thing for the setup. Now we just have to integrate that. Okay, so let's see. This is the integral from negative 6 to 7 of 42 minus y squared minus a negative would be plus y dy. And if we integrate that, we get, let's see, 42y minus 1/3 y cubed plus 1/2 y squared. And we're going to evaluate that from negative 6 to 7. It's kind of a pain to plug in the negative 6 and 7, but it's not too big a deal. So if I plug in the 7, I get 42 times 7 minus 1/3 times 7 cubed plus 1/2 times 7 squared. And if I plug in the negative 6, I get 42 times negative 6 minus 1/3 times negative 6 cubed plus 1/2 times negative 6 squared. Okay, so there are lots of ways to do this, so first of all, WebWork is happy to take this answer as it is, if you don't mind plugging it in. Plugging into your calculator and plugging into WebWork probably take about the same amount of effort, so if you want to just plug this in, you may. If you'd like to simplify this a little bit, you could. I don't know, let's see what we get if we start plugging in some of these values. 42 times 7 is 294. 7 cubed is 343. 49 is 7 squared over 2. Let's see, minus a negative would be plus. 42 times 6 would be 252. Minus, let's see, this is going to be a negative, this is going to be a negative cubed. Oh, sorry, the lighting's a little bit off. Let me fix that. It's a little bit better. So I've got a minus, a negative cubed is going to be a negative, and a minus there, so that all gives me a minus. 6 cubed is 216 over 3. And let's see, this is going to be a negative and a negative here. The negative is going to be squared, so that's going to go away, so I have a negative here. 6 squared is 36 over 2. And if you want to simplify all that, you can. Let's see. 294 plus 252 is 546. How many thirds do I have? Let's see. 343 minus 216 over, oh, sorry, I'm going to add those together because they're both subtracted. So 343 plus 216 is 559, so minus 559 over 3. Here I've got 49 halves minus 36. Probably don't need to do that on the calculator. So plus 13 halves. And again, you could plug that into WebWork, but if you want to get this as a decimal, there's no problem just plugging this in your calculator. 546 minus 559 cube or thirds plus 13 halves. Plug that in a calculator, and I got what looks like 366.16 repeating. And there you go.